Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Dana Scranton, and welcome to 8 Minute Wisdom. Today's episode is a follow-on from the prior two episodes, and the title of today is One Act Can Change Your Life. Well, the metaphor that I'm speaking of, you'll see right up here in this graphic. There's a book called 3 Feet from Gold. It's by Dan Miller and Sharon Lechter, and you can find that on Amazon. The book's story is very simple. As a miner, as a metaphor, you're digging for gold. Now, they are actually talking about a true story and then expanding that to a philosophy of a gentleman who went out west to find his fortune in the days of the gold rush. And he staked his claim. He bought the tools, the shovel, the pick, the axe, and he went at it. But he gave up and he went back home, had to pay back money he borrowed. Ultimately, he was successful after he learned that someone else came in, took that claim, and dug 3 feet and hit one of the richest veins of gold there was. So the story there is one act can change your life if you take the act and persist. Now, in the entrepreneurial world, especially in the solo entrepreneur world, it is not uncommon for someone to engage in the profession, the vocation of entrepreneurship in a certain direction and give up. Why do they give up? They give up because they are shotgunning their focus. In other words, they're taking a broad, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try that. And if I don't get somewhere here, I'll give up and go over here. But the problem with the shotgun approach or the multi-parallel effort approach is you don't have the time, energy, and focus to persist along a line until it is absolutely irrefutably demonstrated that it's not working. Some people go with the wrong goal. For example, some say, well, my goal is to make $100,000 a month. And if I can't do that in 60 days, then I'm giving up. Well, is that a reasonable objective? Well, there are people who have done it, don't get me wrong, but they are the exception. In order to achieve that kind of a change in your life, you have to be persistent. Moreover, you have to take the ideas that come to you and treat them seriously. They may not have come directly from you. They may have been downloaded from a more intelligent source. Your reticular activating system may have assembled a number of different inputs, and your subconscious mind is uploading it to you. And it's saying, take this action. Well, sometimes you don't know the origins of the action. You have a feeling it might be the right thing to do. What you do with that information is the act that could change your life. Because sometimes it's not intuitively obvious that that's the right way to go. And it's not because you don't have the experience. You haven't made the mistakes. You haven't taken the journey to have an inkling of whether or not that particular insight will lead you in a direction with a reasonable probability of you striking gold. So mindfully, you have to respect your intuition for one, but you must be persistent. There will come a time when you ascend to the unconscious competence, okay? Meaning that you have enough experience, that you have made enough mistakes, that you have a degree of intuition and competence and skill and insight that is running in your subconscious to the point where you can make decisions and take actions that are almost always right. And I know several people who have done that, and they are the unconscious competent wizards that I know. You, as an entrepreneur, may well be in that state. But the point being is when you determine that you're going to be an entrepreneur and that you have established an objective in your life, that you have clarity about why you want to do it, what it's going to mean to you and to others, and that it has emotional significance to you, the very next thing you must do is take action. That action has to be taken in one direction, not 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, not trying to starburst and hope that you hit something. That's like throwing spaghetti on the wall and hoping that a Picasso will come from that effort. No, you have to focus on a given strategy, the tactics and the means to achieve that strategy. And you go until you know it doesn't work. Now, you don't necessarily have to understand all the reasons why it doesn't work. What you have to understand is that you put in the effort and that the evidence is overwhelming that that particular direction is not the way to go. That was an act. That act taught you, educated you, and grew you. It's now time to take the next act. Now, there is a caveat here, and this is a very important one. People that get into the entrepreneurial game as a hobby or a sideline or a side gig or a side hustle, sometimes that side hustle becomes a dabble hustle, a dabble thing. They dabble in it once in a while. Entrepreneurship doesn't succeed when you're dabbling. It only succeeds when you take an allotted amount of time and you put that time into creating an experience that produces a result. And you do that consistently day in and day out. That's how the entrepreneurial act of success is brought about. You can't achieve success unless you put in the effort. It doesn't fall out of the sky. Unless you want to win the lottery, which of course the probability of that is pretty low. But the point being is, as an entrepreneur, you're one act away from something that will change your life. You may have to do multiple acts, but take the act that you feel uncomfortable doing. That's one of the most profound bits of philosophy that I've seen and heard and used, is if you feel uncomfortable about something, take an act to challenge it, to overcome it, because in the process of doing that, you not only build confidence, but you bury that fear where it belongs, behind you. Then the next act you take can and most likely will be more profound, impactful, and it may be the one that changes your life. Do not give up 3 feet from gold when you've got the shovel in your hand and there's still dirt to dig. Don't give up until you hit the rock that you can't get through. And the faster you get there, the sooner you will achieve success, because speed is where it's at. And it doesn't mean you have to work 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day. That's great if you can. But the time you have in which you create that experience is what you're looking for. You sit down every day for 1 hour and you put your shovel to the dirt and you dig, meaning you execute your plan, then you'll learn whether it works or not. And if it doesn't, move over and start digging in another place. That's the key. Solo entrepreneurship is not difficult. It's sometimes not easy. It's simple, but sometimes you just have to realize that the simplicity of solo entrepreneurship lies in doing less, mastering the simple, mundane things that others won't do because it doesn't seem like it's hard enough. I've run into that. People who think, well, that's too easy. That can't be right. I've got to find something harder to do because then I'm feeling like I'm challenging myself. But what happens? Oh, it's too hard. Doesn't work. Simple. Dig until you hit the rocks. Well, that's today's philosophy. And it aligns with the prior two episodes rather, in that the point that we made in those prior episodes was that you have to take a risk. You know, if you want to get rich, you got to reach out to the places where opportunity exists. If you want a life, you have to have clarity, you have to have a plan, and you have to execute on the plan. And that's what it's all about here. One act done with purpose, intent, and focus. That can change your life. So that's today's episode. I hope you found something worthy and useful in it. And as before, we'll see you out there on that wonderful frontier of entrepreneurship, of opportunity and possibilities, where things happen for those who pursue them. This is Dana Scranton, and we'll see you in the next episode.